Thanks, Ben. I'll start with Carlos. 100% out for this game. Our physios are working hard now, and we'll know better next week what the real timeline is. But with a soft tissue injury like this, in the early moments, we want to be smart and careful. So he's out. Uh, the rest of the group's excited for this game. If you take our history, if you take what we started, or the way we wanted to play, the kind of football we wanted to play, our identity, our ability to go forward, score goals, win balls back, you could see a lot of that right from the start in 2018. Obviously, it evolved into something that was pretty special in 2019. I think as we started 2020, the first two Champions League games, especially the night at home against Lyon, and then the first two league games, Miami and Philadelphia, you could see so much of it continuing to grow. And then when the pandemic hit and we're off, MLS is back without Carlos, a lot of goals. But then when we returned, and it's more or less a year ago, and it was against the Galaxy, and literally in the last 12 months, our ability to find consistency in lineups, consistency in having our best players on the field, playing at their best level. Those are things that now in the last 12 months, we've had to deal with. It obviously, late in the year, when we got through the South American COVID situation, and when now Carlos had gotten a few games under his belt, we were able to raise the level again for the three Champions League games. And now this year's been a strange year because, in the midst of some of the guys not being as sharp, not being as consistent, by and large, if anybody watched us play in the past, you would see the same LAFC football. You would still see a lot of chances created. You would see a team that, for the most part, is hard to play against, win ball in good spots. Our defensive record this year's actually quite good, but we've lost something. We've lost still our ability and our confidence level when we create chances. We've not had a game where we've scored more than 2 goals. For us, that's just not good enough. And so we're being tested, and now's the opportunity to put that 12-month period behind us and get a really fresh start for the finish of the season.
Thanks, Bob. We're going to get it started off here with Kevin. Go ahead.
Hey, Bob. Thanks again for your time. You talked a little bit about how the club is not, getting the results that you would like and that you're used to. And I'm wondering, given the struggles, can a rivalry game just sort of snap you out of that? It's a cliche, but no one focuses on the records. It's a big game. You forget everything that's happened. Might this be the game that could turn things around?
Sure. And again, for an individual, it's a big play at an important time. It's Diego scoring a big goal when it really matters and getting his confidence back. It's offensively making a play late in the game to ensure a win. So there's little things, but absolutely at this point, it's so close in so many ways that now we need the right play at the right time, and I think you'll see guys breathe easier and be ready to have some joy and push things.
And as I said, it is a cliche when people say throw the records out the window, but I mean, is there some truth to that? And that now the standings don't matter. This is your crosstown rival sitting right in front of you.
You go into every game focused on what are the details. And so if it's the Galaxy, it's a derby, the understanding of the intensity, the understanding of the importance for our fans, all those things are front and center.
Thank you. Good luck.
Tasha, go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, Bob. You were talking about Carlos. Just in general, how frustrating has it been? We all know what he can do when he's at his best and making that difference we saw in 2019. But it's been over a year now that you guys haven't been able to have him just a consistent, just having that version of him throughout like last season and this season.
Yes, I mentioned that we started 2020 still flying from 2019 with a real excitement level about Champions League. And then when we went to Orlando for MLS's back, it was more important for Carlos to be home with his wife. That was an important period as they were awaiting the birth of their second child. And then in the first game back, he's excited, but an MCL injury takes time. So those are things that happen in football. You saw at the end of the year when he was feeling better for 3 games what he can be on the field. And now this year, for him, I feel so badly for him because, look, the Carlos that I talked about in the past, the personality, the smile, those things are still there. But obviously, you feel badly that he's just not been able to consistently train, play, and be back where game after game after game we see anybody who comes to the stadium, we see something that's so special. That's what we saw, in 2019. That's what we saw Lyon home last year. That's what we saw Miami, Philadelphia, Champions League at the end. And this year it's been harder. So we just have to continue to help him in those ways, and hopefully we can still find that balance for him.
And one last one. What did you see from the group after the All-Star game and the input that you guys had? Did that change the mood? We saw Twisted Moody doing great things, and of course you were coaching the team.
Yeah, I think everybody appreciated that. It was great to see Murray score a goal. He's such a good guy, so well liked. We had players. Everybody watched the game, and so yeah, at this moment it was for a day or two a little bit of let's get away from the daily routine, and we've had some days in training lately where we've tweaked some of the things we do just to find a different dynamic. But that All-Star game, I think, felt really good for people, and hopefully we can build on that for this game.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, Bob. Thanks for the time. I just want to be precise with Carlos. I understand that this is the process that you guys are going through, but can you please tell me if there is still that rule in MLS that the players that doesn't go to the All-Star can now play the following game? Is that still in place?
You have to ask the league that, but in his case, that's not any part of the decision. He after he came out against Vancouver, we've been working hard just to assess the injury and to try to find the right way to treat him, and then we'll have a better idea time-wise what that means as we get into next week.
Got it, thanks. And then Diego's availability for the game is available?
I'm sorry?
Diego Rossi?
Yeah.
Is he available for the game?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And then are you losing 3 to 4 players probably next week? For national team duty, some of them?
The final rosters are not out, but potentially we could lose 4 guys after this game.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Josh Gross.
Hey, Bob. On Carlos, do you know if it was a re-aggravation or is this a new injury?
It's the right quad, so I think still it's connected.
Okay. Last week I asked you if the All-Star game sort of came at a fortuitous moment, and you said no, you didn't think so. But based on your answer just now about sort of lifting the mood for a couple of days, do you have a reflection on that? Do you change your opinion on whether the game came good timing for you guys, perhaps, and positive things may come as a result of the contributions you guys made?
We'll see. Again, it's been a busy week for the coaching staff. I'm really proud of Mike Sorber and Ante Razov and Kenny Arena and Zach Abdel, because the ability to now make sure that the training for LAFC is right, still at the same time make sure that we do a good job with the All-Star group when they come in a short amount of time, give them an idea of how we want to go about the game, make sure that we think through. You have a responsibility to all the clubs with players going back for games, some tonight, some tomorrow, to make sure that minutes are balanced properly. You want to put players on the field in ways that they can enjoy the game and show what they're all about. So, I think there was a lot that went into it behind the scenes that probably nobody would really understand. But I want to really thank the guys on the staff, because I think that the responsibility of making sure that from the MLS side of things, those players played well, the team played well. Anybody who watched the game was excited about the quality of the game. So that took a lot of time and effort. And in the midst of all that, there was still a lot coming out of Vancouver going into the Galaxy. So am I going to say that that now it was less fortuitous? Probably not.
You still hear me, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering, could you just give your assessment of the Galaxy at this particular point? What's their form? What are you expecting from them in this match?
Look, since we played that the last time, they've added a lot of players. And I think they have a lot of depth. I know that they've had some games lately where they've not been quite as sharp, or they've given up some chances. The game against Colorado, they had most of the ball. Colorado was content to sit deep and especially use Jonathan Lewis as a threat in transition and to get behind. But overall, I still think that the Galaxy has a lot of good players. And if you look at everything that's happened this year, they've played well.
Thank you.
Thanks. Scott French?
Hey, Bob. Wondering if you've gone the stretch that you're going through right now, in which you're playing well but not getting the results. You're not finishing and giving up some untimely goals. Have you gone through this kind of stretch before? And what is the frustration of this like in comparison if you're going through a stretch like this and not playing well?
Look, I think all of us would rather feel that the things that let me start again. I think that when you, from the beginning, have a very clear picture of what kind of team you want to be and how you want to play, the fact that we continue to show those qualities in every game, for me, is a positive. Now, when the results don't come, it's not time to then say, forget what we've been, forget everything. No, that's impossible. Over time, when you look at the best clubs in the world, there's a real commitment to their football and their identity. And yet you have to find the right little adjustments, the right tone and messages to help guys, to help the group. Yes, there have been moments in a long career where you felt like, you know what, we're going through a tough stretch. One thing I've always said when that happens is, you got to believe in what we do every day. You got to believe in your teammates. You got to believe in our football, and you can't be afraid of this. Don't get caught up with any of the stuff that's out there, because look, that's how the game works. And if you are afraid of some of those things, then it shows. So no chance. There's just this idea that, come on, here's what we're all about. I can show everybody the things every game that look exactly the same as they did other years. And then in areas where we need to improve, we focus and keep trying to get it where it needs to be.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks. Max Bretos?
Good to see you, Bob. A couple of the attacking players, Brian Rodriguez seemed to have a really good game against Vancouver, almost scored that goal that came off the post. How have you seen his game emerging as he gets closer? I would imagine to be a 90-minute type guy. And Chicho Arango, how has he been moving along towards obviously being more of a featured player in your attack? And where you see him settling in best?
Brian played well against Vancouver, obviously, off the post on the one chance where Diego was through. He did well to create some chances for others. He created a really good chance for Chicho. But he seemed fresh and alive. He was sharp in the way he was going by people. And I see Brian being very positive at the moment, really open to being coached. very committed to improving, and that's great to see. Chicho, yeah, he's our version of a 9. He can come underneath a little bit. He received the ball against Vancouver and made that very good pass to Diego going through. He can find ways to get into the box. Yeah, you can compare it a little bit with, in ways of what you see at times with a guy like Firmino at Liverpool. So he's a versatile attacker. And look, last game he got some big chances. And I think if he continues to get chances, for sure, he's going to get goals because that's the way it's been in his career.
And quick follow-up, Bob. The version of the All-Star game, would you see that as something that could have some legs moving forward, or do you think the league should consider looking back at different formats of the league, or do you like this League MX format?
Look, I can only speak to the experience the other night, and I thought for an all-star game, exhibition type game, I thought the game was played at a good level. I thought the atmosphere in the stadium, except for one bad moment, was really good. I think the players enjoyed it. Everyone knows that I appreciate when there's a game and there's good players on the field and there's good football and teams aren't afraid to attack. Where there's plays that you remember at the end of the night, whether they're attacking plays or defending plays. I mean, Andre Blake made a huge save, so that's a big play. They saved one off the line where Diego had a real chance to score, and the defender came back and made an awesome recovery. So, there were exciting moments, a lot of talent on the field, experienced guys that we know that have been around for a long time, and then young talent, young guys that were alive and into it. So for me, the game had a lot of positives, and I would think that it's something to build on.
Thank you, Bob.
Andy, go ahead.
Hey, Bob, how's it going?
Good, Andy.
Bob, you talked about just trajectory of the team in the 4 years, the 4 seasons, and then obviously challenges this season. I'm wondering, has there been any conversations with Carlos or just you internally with being contract years of desire past the end of the season to continue with the project, or is that just kind of stuff you guys look at when the season is finally over?
Carlos and I have a lot of really good discussions. We have a relationship where there's a lot of trust. Let's be really clear, that if I had this idea that we could be a team that if you came to the stadium, you saw a style of football, you saw attacking, you saw goals, and you saw talented players, in that vision of things, you always have this idea that there's one player that when you leave the stadium, that's the guy that everybody's going to talk about more than anything else. And for sure, I wanted that to be Carlos. And when we think of the incredible nights that we've had and some of the football we've played, none of that would have happened without Carlos. And so he knows how I feel about him. Nobody was prouder standing on the sideline in all those games and watching him than me, because, man, that brought seeing football like that, seeing a player that is having that ability on the field every game, that's just special. And so now, we speak about that. We speak about how we can keep trying to move things forward, and then the rest, as we know in football, we just see how it plays out.
Thanks. Our last and final for Bob here. Vince, go ahead.
Bob, you brought up lineup consistency, and I know a lot of it's been out of your hands this season with injuries. But when you're starting to get up against it with points, how do you balance trying to get guys on the field and getting them accustomed to a starting 11 versus, possibly struggling at times and maybe giving up more points?
Let's be clear, Vince. I think that every game we still pick what we think is the best lineup for that game. And when there have been moments where there's been changes, yes, that might be the moment where it's opportunity for somebody to get minutes, but it's never that's the first thought in the process.
So I'm thinking about team chemistry and like for so long, like you said, 2019, you guys, it's like the starting 11 picked itself. Is that more on the players then? Is that kind of the vibe I'm getting? Like you said, the best players are going to play. So is that a training decision, or is there a part of you that wants to kind of roll out guys and get them working in partnerships on the pitch?
Yeah, I think we do that every day, Vince. And as I just said, I think that the lineups get picked based upon training and based upon what we think is going to be the best lineup for that game. And even in moments when we have gone a little bit this year from 4-3-3 to 3-4-3 or 3-4-1-2, there's so many principles that stay exactly the same. And it just has given us slightly different ways in how we can engage opponents or make it a little bit easier if teams want to avoid playing in the center, how we can be a little bit more aggressive to get somebody high on top of their outside back if the ball's being hit diagonally to them. But any when I mention inconsistent lineups, that's just a product of, at times, if you start this season and Carlos is out after 20 minutes, if Diego at the end of preseason came up with a little hamstring tweak, not enough to keep him out for a long period, but just enough to have him down for a few games. Then when you work guys back, understanding player loads so that they don't get re-injured. So if you take just the different things that have arisen this year, those are the factors when at times a lineup changes. And then occasionally, yes, it might be that for a particular game, the feeling is tactically it makes more sense to start one way or the other. But we still believe in the way we play, and we have a real sense of what we think our best group is, and we try to get our best group on the field as often as possible, and then just balance that out with the load so that we're not putting anybody in a bad spot.